Hey there everybody, welcome back to this Let's Play of Final Fantasy III for the PSP. I am Drak. Let's get to it, shall we? So, we've just appeared in the middle of nowhere, and Ingus is asking a good question. Where are we? I don't know. Looks like we're somewhere... Oh, well, maybe that crystal's a clue. I recognize this place. It's the cave with the crystal. Very observant, Lunith. It is I who summoned you. Okay, well that doesn't answer a whole lot now, does it? That is actually a really cool 3D crystal design, I must say. I actually like it. You four have been chosen to be the warriors of the light, the bringers of hope. You must take with you the last of my light, and the last of our world's hope. Unless you act, the light will be lost, and the equilibrium forever broken. Once you take in the light, you will be able to extract the powers from the other crystals. Alright, so apparently if we take in the power of this crystal, we can actually take in the power of the other crystals. Obviously, this is a crystal story, so this is the Crystal of the Wind, I believe? And I do actually like that we get this point in the game where we actually do get kind of a credit sequence. It feels right in the early games when they decided to do this, especially with this kind of CG crystal design. I don't know, I just love it when they do stuff like this, it's just because you can get this this victory fanfare song. I still love like every iteration that this thing has gone through. In fact, one of the few things I will praise Final Fantasy XII for is its rendition of it. That I still to this day keep it somewhere, just because this song composed by Uematsu is a very uplifting one. I especially liked it when people do their own adaptations for it. For example, Rental Floss did his own song regarding this. It's one of my favorite that he's ever done, and so I'm glad he did it. But the credit sequence doesn't last too long on this one. Obviously, it's just basically thanking all the people who did the 3D rendition of Final Fantasy III, who brought it to U.S. shores, and finally allowed for us to have access to all of the Roman numeral titles. And I love it. I actually, even though I mentioned this, I still get questions. What do you mean by Roman numeral? Roman numeral is just the main line. Hold on. When the four were bathed in its light, they knew its will, its fear, its hope. And that came by way too fast. You must drive the darkness from this world and restore light to its rightful place. You are our last hope. I love these lines. And yes, I'm not doing it in the crystal voice. It went too fast. I apologize, guys. Drak will do better next time. Alright, and so with it, it gives us its power, or our chosen four. You have been blessed with the crystal's light. Awesome. So, cool. Now go. Step onto the shining circle behind this altar to return to the surface. Embrace your destiny, warriors of the light. So now we have basically another group of light warriors, like in the first title. Except with a couple of different changes. Oh, look, it's our friend the Mughals. They actually get introduced in this game. Congratulations, Cooper. You can now change jobs. You can access job-specific abilities by changing jobs. Cooper. Be careful, though. You won't be automatically proficient in each job, though. Cooper. If people don't like that voice, stuff it. It's like I love doing the Moogle voice that way. Just because they're little puffballs. And actually, thank you to this little Moogle, because this is the main driving mechanic of this game, and he just explained it. This is the first Final Fantasy game where a job class system was utilized. So with each crystal we gain power from, we gain new job classes. These are the things that we've gotten used to in previous titles where there has been like a black mage or red mage, except now we can take our 4 little orphans and make them, and I probably may have spoiled a little bit, but you're going to find that out later. We could take these 4 characters and we can customize them however we want. So it's like 2, where you can augment the stats and you can do all that stuff, but instead of augmenting the stats per se, you can put them into a class, a job class, and they can become proficient in it. Some may have a better proficiency than others. Some may just be kind of throwaway. You can put them in that, but it is your choice. You can make this party however you want. And as you can see, I'm actually starting to do that right now. This is kind of my party, at least for the first little bit. I have changed Luneth over to being a monk. And with each character is a different appearance of it. There's a generalized appearance amongst all of them, but all of them are unique. They look how they should as that class. I'm going to be changing Ingus to a warrior, obviously, since he is a knight, and that seems appropriate for him. Ark, if people remember from the intro, he's kind of the one that's reading the book. I always feel it appropriate to make him the black mage, because he's always the wizard seeking more knowledge. And Rethia to be the white mage, just because of kind of where... It's not really where she's at now, but her nature later on is very, very much towards what I believe a white mage is, as far as character in the games. And with that, also, different classes have different armor requirements, different weapon requirements. So people might notice, in job class system games in Final Fantasy, you get a huge inventory, and it's mainly because you are going to be switching job classes quite often in some of them. In this one, not so much. They really did kind of make the emphasis of, if you want to specialize and just have that one, you can. And there's necessarily no penalty to do so. It's just in later job class system games, as for example, 2 games from now, when we get to Final Fantasy V, where another job class system was implemented, they gave another bonus, which was the more you level that job, the more unique abilities you can walk away with that you can put to other classes. And so now you guys can see I am in this, and now one question that people might have is, okay, how do you... Now we have 2 things to gain. We have levels and we have job levels. How do you gain job levels? It's the easiest thing in this game to do. All you have to do is perform an action in the job class, and you will gain job points, so to speak, and then gain proficiency in the job. So really well done. This is actually one of the few job class implemented games where I think they did perfectly. And we've just made our way back to Sasane. Here's Princess Sarah. Everyone! Ingus! Lady Sarah, I am glad to see you are safe. I may stop doing the British accent, I don't know. Now we must cleanse the ring in the blessed spring, and that should lift the curse. Alright, so now we know what we need to do. The blessed spring flows below Castle Sasane. Let us hurry inside. And we've actually been there. It's one of the other rooms that didn't have any treasure, but it was like it looked like a recovery spring, but it wasn't. That's where we need to go. So we're going there really quick. That was not a magic cut, that was a game. So don't blame me. Like Frodo before her, Princess Sarah throws the ring into the water. Okay, sorry, he threw it in the lava. The curse should be lifted now. You should go speak to Father. If only it were that simple all the time. I mean, really, just throw a ring into a little bit of water. I guess that works. Alright, and yes, as we can see, the curse has been lifted. You have returned. Your courageous deeds have saved the kingdom. You have my deepest gratitude. Of course we do. Thank you, sire, but we must go. We've been chosen to be the warriors of the light. I love it. We're all casual about that now. Warriors of the light, you say? Ingus, are you leaving as well? Oh, he's so sad. Yes, sire. I see. Then I bid you all well. Know that our hopes go with you, young champions. Yes, sire. All 4 are now the Warriors of Light. Take this with you. It will surely prove itself useful during your journey. Which would be... King Sasane presents you with a magical folding canoe. People were wondering how we got the canoe in this game. That's how. I love how it's a magical folding one. Because that tells you it's cool. I actually do have to admit, though, this is one of the last games where a canoe is implemented. We will get other craft, but the canoe they decided to not keep. Just because river travel has done so little in these games later on that it's not worthwhile to have a canoe per se. They'll come up with other ways to do it, but that's kind of this is kind of the last time you'll see that. Everyone! It's Lady Sierra! Everyone be safe! Promise me you'll come back to Sasane when your duty is done! Aw, she likes us. Fear not! Our word is our bond! We shall return! No, I'm not gonna get rid of the British accent. I'm starting to like it. Again. Alright, so we now embark on our new journey, but before we can do that, remember, we had a previous task. We need to go back to Sid and talk to the Blacksmith. However, one of the big problems... Well, now that we have the canoe, it's not a problem anymore. We can get our airship back. Yeah, people were wondering about that, weren't they? They had to give us the canoe. So, well, let's go ahead and head back to Kazas. And now that we're back here, here's Taka the Blacksmith. He is pacing really fiercely right there. Father! Raphia, you're all right. Thank the heavens, That's you? Don't cry, Father. Everyone's looking. Stern Blacksmith can't cry anymore. Doesn't matter. I was so worried about you. Now let's go home. Wait, Father! Something tells me there's a little bit of a problem in this relationship. I mean, I'm not trying to be Dr. Phil here. But as people can see, the town of Kazas has been restored. We do actually have access to the shops now. And the spells they have. Gain special properties. Basically, we're able to get some basic black magic for Arc, which will be very helpful. Some basic white magic for Raphia, and some mithril-based weapons, since that's kind of the thing of this one. So, mithril rod, a mithril knife, and a mithril sword. Well, we're going to need a few of those. Unfortunately, there really isn't anything that we can get Raphia, because white mages are kind of limited to stabs, hammers, things like that. It's like Final Fantasy 1. As far as some of the justification goes. I was actually kind of surprised when I played this game again that bows were allowed by black mages. That was interesting to me. Now, people might actually ask me, why don't you put a shield on Ingus if he's going to be kind of your meat shield? Really, it's just because he's got a high enough armor and I can justify it. It's not like a whole lot of the beginning of the game is too hard. As soon as we get later on in the game, you'll probably see me with either higher armor or I will bite the bullet and get a shield. But most of this game, you'll find that, like, with Luneth as a monk, I don't really arm him because this is just like Final Fantasy 1, where if he has nothing on him, as far as weapons, he does more damage that way. And then for any other character like Ingus, I would dual wield. Just because it's easier that way, I can get more attack power out of it, and I can make him a powerhouse while allowing for him to be able to take a hit. So that might be against what a lot of people would do. It's what I would do, because, you know, job class system. And here's the thing: we only have the basic job classes right now. Once we get into the advanced ones, we're gonna have a few other advantages. But let's go ahead and visit with Taka the Blacksmith. First, we're going to hit the Life Spring, because I love it when these towns implement that. That way I don't have to pay for an inn. And I think Taka's house is right here. Yep. Yep, and here we go. Taka and Refia. Eh, what's that? What do you want? Can't you see I'm busy? Well, that's a fine hello. Let's go try and talk to Refia. I'm sorry. I want to go with you, but I don't think Father would let me. You were chosen by the crystal. Tell your dad you were chosen by the crystal. It worked for the dude in Ore. I mean, Elder Topapa said nothing about it. He was like, yep, it's destiny. Go for it. And here is Sid, of the Sid of this game. I actually like his design. Good work. I knew you'd pull it off the moment I saw you. Well, good of you to say. I'm guessing you can make better use of my airship than I can myself. But first, I want you to take me back to Canaan. Mrs. Sid's been waiting a mighty long time for me to come back. I'll bet she has. Alright, so Sid is now our secondary party member. Sid doesn't bring a whole lot because the journey with him is kind of short. So don't expect too much from him. I don't think we'll even have him interrupt a battle. But we also do need Sid to talk to Taka. Sid, you old dog, it's good to see you. And not through you again. Yeah, I hear you. Say, Taka, we were thinking of busting that rocket Nell with the airship. But I reckon we need a mithril ram on the ship's bow. You think you can hack one together? We have to think about this, says the blacksmith. A mithril ram, eh? Well, that sounds feasible. Wait here and I'll smith you one in no time. Refia, give me a hand or three, will you? Now we see what the problem kind of is that she's the blacksmith's apprentice, and therefore that's why he might not be able to let her go on the journey. Again, she was chosen by the crystal. Done and done. Your airship has been fitted with the ram. You'll find it outside Cassis. Sterling handiwork as always, Taka. And fast, too. Let's set her up and bust some boulders. He makes it sound like it's bowling. I mean, seriously, these are boulders for crying out loud. Alright, and with that, now we have what we need to move from the Sasune area of the map to the more of the world, basically. It's a little complicated, but we'll get there as we go along. But while we are making our way to the airship, well, we're just going to go ahead and bust some boulders. Because why not? That's what we do. Get into the airship. Oh, wait, we have a cutscene. I wonder what's going to happen. You guys are late! Wait, you're supposed to be with your dad. What? But I thought, shouldn't you be... Of course she ran away. We all promised the crystal we'd go on our journey, and I don't want to be a smith just yet. Alright. We'll give her that. I'm thankful to Father for taking care of an orphan like me all these years, but this is something I have to do. Wait, orphan? Wait, you're an orphan too? Too? You mean... I'm one too. Yes, we knew that already. Wait a moment. I too have no parents. Wow, how interesting. It can't be a coincidence. The crystal must have known. Almost like it was planned like that. Sounds like it's going to be an interesting journey. Now let's go break that rock. Alright, yeah, that's one of the key kind of story moments here is that the four are orphans. And, you know, you kind of try to discover the origins of that. But it does play into the fact that they're supposed to work together to bring hope and light to the world again. I always found that interesting as a story element. You conveniently make them all orphans. It's almost like you are trying to recreate the Final Fantasy storyline, because the Heroes of Light in that game had no origin. They just came out of nowhere. So at this point, it's almost like, okay, we wanted to give an explanation. Here's our explanation. They're all orphans. They all banded together. Now, people might be wondering why I went back to Kazis. We're actually going into the Mithril Mines because there are a few items that may be of help to us later on. But the Mithril Mine is kind of difficult. If you have taken on the Djinn, you should be okay taking on these monsters, but don't play it safe, guys. If you're trying this game out for the first time, make sure you're covered. Otherwise, you're going to get your butt kind of handed to you. Kind of like what's happening right now. I mean, if I'd walked out in here with no magic or hadn't changed my job classes, this would be a lot harder than it was. Thankfully, I played it smarter than that. And the other problem also is, as people can kind of tell, since the job levels are kind of low, we're not seeing like tremendous amounts of damage. That's kind of how it plays. So as the job levels go up as well as the levels, we're going to see major damage coming from Lunith, major damage coming from Ingus, and the damage is only going to get higher for Arc. We actually also, this is one of the cool things about Final Fantasy III, White Mages do get some attack magic. Not just against undead, they actually do get spells like Arrow. For Final Fantasy fans, the Arrow spell, or Wind, is a rare one, and it's like, enemies get it, but for the most part, you never see it happen to player characters. I found it the most interesting that we actually did get an Arrow spell for White Mages in this game. We actually can do wind damage. Especially since, you know, the elements play such a big role in this game that there were certain elements we never gained access to. You technically never get access to water. And, you know, I know a lot of people who are just going to bounce back and go, well, you get ice. Okay, but ice is another thing entirely. You know, you don't actually get, like, a water spell. I don't even think you get a water spell until Final Fantasy X, maybe? And then in that game, you didn't get an air spell. So I was like, okay, well, we get fire, and in some cases, some games we get earth, but that's it. Like, they kind of justify it as, okay, well, you have ice, that means water. You have thunder, that means wind. And so I always love the games that just say, okay, well, fine. We'll just give you the outright element, and you can mess around with it as you please. Especially giving it to a White Mage, because who knows, you may have a round where there's no healing to do. But I should point out this simple concept, and I think I did in the previous parts. We're back to charges from 1. So as we level up in job level as well as in actual level, and I will distinguish between those two, the charges will go up. And we will get lots of like level 1 spells that we can do and level 2 spells, and the higher we go, the higher the charges will get. So if it seems like in the early part of the game, some of the spells are limited and I treat them as such, it's just because I don't have the charges yet. You can already see it right now. Arc has 7 charges of level 1 spells, so that's with Fire and Blizzard. We'll eventually get a Thunder spell, but I think it's level 2. And here are the chests. One contains a Mithril Sword, which we'll use later, and another Mithril Sword. This is helpful, especially when you do get characters that you want to level into other classes, maybe to boost their defense a little bit. And one of the things that people might see in this game, I do a lot of, stockpiling. It's for no other reason than I may find myself leveling up another job class just to beef up defense, or to beef up attack, or to prepare for an unforeseen circumstance, because some bosses will require specific type job classes. Not necessarily like the one, but something close to it. And all of your party will need to resemble it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great strategy element. One of the things that we'll come across later, we will come across bosses where we need nothing but casters, because physical attack is going to do nothing against that boss. And that's great. You can sit back and have 4 black mages and just wail on the guy. Or you can play it safe and have them all be red mages. That way they can heal each other. but you get the choice. And so that was an interesting mechanic to implement. But that's actually going to go ahead and do it for this week. Next week, or next time, we will be embarking on our journey and going into the area of Canaan. I should let people know in advance, though, that we might have late parts coming. I'm going to be taking some time off in the summer, as well as I'm going to be taking a little bit of personal time. I'm going to try and keep as consistent as I can, but if I am not, I will keep you guys posted. In the meantime, I am Drak, and this has been a Let's Play of Final Fantasy III for the PlayStation Portable. See you next time.